Welcome to this episode. I'm Eva and I help learners speak beautiful English. Today I'm so glad to be joined here by my student Tomas, who has achieved something that many learners dream of, and that is reaching a C2 level in English. Tomas, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Tomas is my C2 level student. And I think a lot of learners could benefit from this. I would like to talk about your journey. Maybe you could give our listeners some tips and tricks and maybe some inspiration. I just wanted to maybe point out or maybe make it clear if someone is wondering, okay, C2, what are we talking about? So it is the highest level we can achieve when we learn a language. It means that we can use the language almost like a native speaker, but please bear in mind that doesn't mean that a slip of the tongue can happen or a tiny little mistake. We're in front of cameras. We're not used to doing these interviews, both of us, so please just bear this in mind. Tomas, I wanted to ask three quick questions, if you don't mind. So if I remember right, first, have you ever spent a longer period of time in an English-speaking country?
Actually not. I've been living my whole life in Brno or nearby, so I haven't spent any significant time outside of the country.
Right. So it's in the Czech Republic, just in case somebody doesn't know. We're also now shooting and recording from the Czech Republic. Cool. Another important question I wanted to start with is, did you grow up surrounded by any native speakers or something like that, such an environment?
Not really. No. Normal Czech family. The only contact with English was throughout the school system. And in later phases, as I think it's pretty normal for all the people, television, some computer games maybe, some articles, and then the university. So nothing really special, no specific contact with native speakers.
All right, fine. So I think that's a good point to bear in mind. And then the third question, do you use English maybe these days? Yeah, do you use English every single day? Do you need it every single day?
Well, I need English quite often, but I definitely wouldn't say on a daily basis. I work within Czech-speaking team. We have no foreigners inside or within the company, so I use English, but definitely not on the daily basis.
So do you think you could maybe introduce yourself a little to our listeners so we know where you're from, maybe what do you do, just a little to get to know you? First.
So, as I mentioned, I've been living my life in Brno, including university studies. So, I've graduated from animal biotechnologies many years ago already. And just after the university, I started working in IVF, in vitro fertilization, which is fascinating. Bit controversial, but very much needed field of science and medicine. So I still work for family-owned clinic Repromeda, which is 2 IVF clinics plus genetic laboratory. And my role within the team or within the company is sales, networking, and all these things related to our partnerships, collaborations, etc.
Right. So this is what I find really fascinating about teaching English and meeting different students, because I knew so little about the field, IVF, fertility, infertility, and stuff like that. So thanks to you and some of your colleagues, I also had a chance to discover this. I can imagine a lot of people maybe waiting for this answer, or maybe an answer to this question, like, Tomas, how did you do this? I also want to get to the C2 level, so what shall I do? How to do that?
I think my story is very similar to the story of many of the people same age here in the Czech Republic, that I started with English on the primary school, then I continued throughout the secondary school. However, it was limited with the quality of the school system. I'm not saying anything against the teachers. I think we had some brilliant people around, but the overall quality of the English, skills of the teaching staff at that time were a little bit limited compared to what I think students have nowadays. So when I finished secondary school, I think I was at the B2 level, let's say B2 level, and the university studies didn't help much because we have very few courses on English. In there, of course, we were reading some articles and we were surrounded by English. But me personally, I didn't move, or I was not really making much progress at that time. And after I finished, I started working in the IVF, as I've mentioned. And the role of mine was to establish some connections with other partners, clients from abroad. And naturally, the English was the way how to communicate with the partners. So there was a need to improve it a little bit because I didn't really felt much comfort when speaking with others. And I think when you're going to be speaking with salespeople, it's very much about the comfort, to feel comfortable and to make the other party feeling comfortable as well. So I started attending language school. I think it was like 2 hours a week. We were a group of 10, 12 people, I think, if I remember correctly. But it didn't work very, very much for me. When I compare it with the lessons we have these days, or we together, I think the individual approach really it's something that makes a big difference. So I think I was attending this language school like for 2 years. Then I had some private lessons with native speaker, but it was also a very short period. And then we started working together, and I think that was the real game changer. That really helped me to get slightly, somewhere, I would say.
So one-on-one classes, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I have always enjoyed classes with you. But I think it's really, you have just mentioned that you really put in a lot of work. Yeah, I can see there's a lot of work. There's your decision. Yes, I want to improve my English. I tried a language school. I tried a native speaker. I tried something different because I was looking for something that could help me. So is that right?
Absolutely correct.
Right.
Well, I think if you work with English and if you really, if the success of yours is kind of like bond to it, or there is really strong motivation, business-driven motivation. It's a different compared to when you use English just for your leisure time or traveling, etc. So I found my way, which is the consistency, and these 30, 60 minutes per week, it's really something what really suits me well.
Cool. So thank you for mentioning that this, again, consistency, that's one of the key things, that you've been so consistent, and I really admire that about you. Let me then move on and ask one question. So what does this C2 level mean to you?
Well, I think it's the comfort that I've mentioned. That really, like 2, 3, 4 years ago, I think the problem I was facing quite often were these dead ends. That you are, you do have some conversation with somebody, and then the conversation gets deeper and deeper, and you try to express something specific, and and you find yourself like trapped. You don't know how to express what you would like to express. And I'm not saying I'm not facing these situations anymore. Definitely I am. There are still so many things to improve. But it became much rarer to me. And I think this is really what, to me, describes the level of English where I am right now, that I can speak with almost anybody and feeling comfortable. For sure, I don't know all the fixed phrases. Sometimes it's the Chinglish. That's obvious, but I don't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, as you said, so nothing is holding you back. You feel free. You feel the freedom to communicate. And that's a great feeling, that this C2 level
It absolutely
gives us.
is.
Right.
And it's the motivation. Like when you can feel comfortable wherever you are, whatever you're talking about, that's really, it's a nice feeling that motivates you to continue, not to quit. Yeah, and it really pays off, as you said.
All right. But you still keep having classes. So as you said, you already feel good when you speak English. You nothing is holding you back, but you still keep having classes. Even though you must be so busy, you have 2 kids and right now a newborn. So congratulations again. So where do you get this motivation? What drives you still to carry on and have classes and work on your English still? Because it's a never-ending story.
It is.
That's
Really
right.
is.
Even for anybody, there is always something we can learn. The deeper we get, the more we discover. So what is that motivation for you right now?
So I think it's a combination of more things. Maybe I'm going to surprise you, but I enjoy the classes. It's really, it's part of the...
We didn't agree on this beforehand. Thank you so much.
So it's, it's part of the weekly routine to have the class. And if I have something important, so I need to cancel it, I always try to reschedule it because I'm really looking forward to it. And I think really the consistency that we have fixed date, fixed time, and we always try to make it that week. It's something that really it improves it little by little. And I think if we compare how I was speaking like last year to what we have right now, I think there is a difference, and I'm pretty sure that there are so many things we can improve that in upcoming years, and I hope that it's going to be many years ahead, that it's going to be better and better, and that the pronunciation is going to be, silkier maybe, that the range of vocabularies will be even larger, and that it's going to be even more enjoyable to speak English.
I really enjoy classes with you, as I said, so likewise. So to me, as you just said, you seem to be quite disciplined. Or do you think one is born with this, or...
Well,
what is that?
Personally, I don't consider myself as one of those like the most disciplined people. But what works for me is if I have fixed a repetitive thing scheduled, then it's quite easy. You don't have to think about it.
It's in your calendar. That's a good point.
And I would mention one thing which really is important as well, and is that I don't feel scared, or very rarely do I have the feeling, English class again. And that's very important. Should I have this, I don't think we would be able to continue for those, 6 or 7 years already.
It's been 6 years, I guess.
6 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's the reason why I quit, actually, with the systems I had before. So I don't trust, or I don't believe in big step changes in the quality of language in my case, because, for example, if I would be pushed to really work hard on English and pass some, exams or whatever for employer or some institution or organization, that could make the step change, like intensive work in a very short period of time or a limited period of time. But I don't have anything like that at the moment. So this consistency is what works for me very well. And I forgot to mention that I was lucky enough to have the possibility to study MBA with American professors coming from United States over to Brno, and they pushed us to really pass some level. I'm not really sure which kind of certificate it was, but there was a step change. There was a step change. It was another milestone in English, but there's nothing like that right now. And this continuous work, I think that's really what works for me.
And this MBA program you mentioned, how long did it take you to do that? How much time did you spend doing that? So you were, I guess, immersed in English.
If I remember correctly, it was 3 semesters. Each semester, 8 weekends. So we started working on Friday morning, ended Sunday afternoon. And most of the courses were in English.
All right. Would you say that you have a flair for languages, a certain kind of talent, that you're talented, gifted when it comes to languages?
Well, I guess I would be something like average. I think I would be average person when it comes to this. I know people around me who are really talented, and it works for them very, very easily. They learn languages as, like this. And there are definitely people who struggle, who can't really, for example, the pronunciation is hard for them. So I find myself some kind of in between, I would say.
All right. So as we're now talking about your journey, and I think we talked a lot about your success, I think there must have been some difficult moments. So, or I don't know, what piece of advice would you give to someone who feels maybe demotivated, or someone who feels down, like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I feel down. Have you ever felt like that?
I don't remember any particular moment like that. I can mention I had a colleague of mine who is not working with us anymore, but she was so good in English. She really had a very fluent British accent. Really, she's amazing speaker. And there was a thing that really motivated motivated me to really. I was really when I was listening to her, I was telling myself, this is brilliant. This is really that's awesome. And what was very nice was that she was at that level that she was not having any classes or language school, anything, and it was still there. So there was one moment maybe when I was not feeling like to have English good enough. And also with the other systems, they didn't work for me, so the motivation was quite low, I would say. But what I'm saying right now, it works for me. So this is definitely, it's not a universal, general rule or advice to everybody, to every single listener of your podcast. I'm pretty sure there may be people who would benefit from the less personal group classes, or somebody who would really benefit from self-learning, etc. It's simply not my case. Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing this up, because I think that's an important point to highlight, that it's so individual, that you really have to discover, who am I, what kind of learner am I, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and change it and act accordingly. That's important to say that out loud, right?
Absolutely.
If we maybe talk about your goals, is there a certain goal you have right now, or not really, in terms of English or maybe some other languages?
Well, currently I'm studying English only. I used to study some other languages when I was motivated or when it made sense. Currently English only, and short term we work very much on pronunciation, right? So I think we should continue with that, and a significant target. Maybe when there is more time, some window of free time, which seems quite funny right now at the moment. Maybe the CPE exams. That could be the goal for the future.
Cool. What could maybe people who don't have experience with C2 classes, what could they expect? What do our classes look like roughly, generally? What kind of stuff? Because we don't need to learn, some basic grammar or some basic vocabulary. So what is it about?
So I think our classes or our lessons are tailor-made. So again, I don't think you would be teaching all your students universally, even at the C2 level. But we do a lot of conversations, a lot of reading to improve the pronunciation. You correct me a lot, which I really appreciate. I like it. I actually, I'm quite nervous when we don't have things to to improve. So that's one part. C2 exercises, so the grammar, expressions, etc. That's really key part of what we are doing, and I really very much like the way how you push me to learn new expressions and vocabularies, which is that we mention them one time and you create completely different exercise the very next lesson. So we repeat it, and I'm putting all the new expressions down. I'm trying to make notes in my daily routine. When I come across new expression, I always try to put it down. Then we start a lesson with these new expressions, and you create the exercises, and it's really tailor made. So that's really nice. And from time to time, you make it slightly more enjoyable. You bring up some up-to-date article or some topic. We dive deep into it, and sometimes it's like half the class.
Right. As you mentioned, you have there's a lot of repetition, right? It's really important just to come across the same expression or the same phrase, the same vocabulary again and again and again, so that that's our job, because C2 vocabulary is so specific, so you cannot come across something like that every single day. So it's important that that I make you come across that in the classes. I really like the habit you have recently started. These, like, you during the week you put down some notes, and then at the beginning of the class we go through that. So maybe that's something that other people could be interested in as well. And would you say there was a certain method or a certain special tool, or there was an app or something that you used in the past that really helped you?
So in my case, no applications or no particular methods. Also, what helps are the YouTube videos created by the people who really understand English and know how to teach English. Because I don't think that when you're a native speaker, it automatically means that you can teach English. But there are people very talented who really, I think it's partially science as well. They can really share the basics and help you learn the ropes. So YouTube works for me as well.
YouTube is a game changer, exactly.
It is.
I learned so much, and it's not just about English. Any kind of field, if you want to fix your, faucet in the bathroom or whatever, just open YouTube. Yeah, that's right. Cool. So just dear listeners, if you were maybe expecting some special tool or app or method, so there is, and I agree, there is no such thing. There are certain things and principles that could help, but there is no silver bullet to save everything, right? So I was thinking before this interview that I wanted to ask you one more question. Was there a moment when you realized, okay, I'm probably good at English. I probably feel good. Yeah, this is getting better. This is kind of cool. Was there such a thing?
Again, I'm not. I don't really remember any particular moment like that. However, we do have quite wide range of partners and collaborations, as I've mentioned in the beginning, because we are testing embryos, we are testing couples before they even start to consider family. We try to raise fertility awareness. And these days we also focus on longevity, so testing for genetic parameters influencing the quality and length of your life. So I'm in touch with different people, some of them from the inside of the country, some of them from outside of the country, from other countries, including native speakers. And the moment when I really always realize that it's worth it is when the mirroring occurs. I realize that sometimes when you speak with the people with very nice, polished English, beautiful English, and if you have enough time for the conversation, that you start to mirror their pronunciation and the way they speak. I think it's very natural to do this. And by the way, I think it works also the other way around. So if you are speaking with somebody with like very poor English, you really adapt to it, kind of. So when you realize this, I think for me, it's always very nice and pleasant moment when I when I realized that it works, it's nice, and there are even some capacities to mirror the people. So yeah, I hope it makes sense what I'm saying right now.
I totally get it. So it's like you try to imitate those people,
exactly.
something like that.
Exactly.
I really like what you do.
But pardon me, not intentionally. It goes,
Right.
it goes with the flow.
It affects you just when you're in touch with people who speak great English. It affects you, kind of, right?
Exactly.
Because I also like the habit that you that you have in our classes. When we come across a new word or expression, you immediately try to use it in in a few minutes. You try to create a sentence and you try to answer some other questions I ask you using that word that was new to you. So you're actively trying to use it a lot, and we double check. Okay, was this correct usage or not? But this is what I like, that you're very proactive. You immediately try to use it, and that helps the kind of repetition that even you create. That.
Well, I always thought that it's your tool, actually, that you're pushing me to do that.
But I don't need to push. I don't need to push here. That's the thing.
But it works. It works to remember the context, and then it helps you with the active use of the word.
What about homework? Maybe if our, again, listeners, what can they imagine when it comes to homework, English homework?
So we typically have homework for the next lesson, and I'm smiling a little bit because with after the second baby was born, I'm not the best student when it comes to homework, but it also works for me very, very, very well, because you always create the homework that is following what we've discussed in the previous lesson. So homework is an important part of English, and I usually prepare the homework the day before or the same day we have the class in the morning to repeat it, to refresh it.
Is it a long piece of homework? Does it take an hour, or?
What we typically have is like 20 minutes, 20 minutes exercise. 20 minutes task, or some 9, 10, 11 minutes long video with some follow-up.
Yeah, so not a long piece of homework. It's just usually something bite-sized that's manageable.
And I can imagine that if we are in a phase that we need to get somewhere quickly, that we need to push the tempo a little bit, we would have much more homework. But to have more homework that is comfortable or convenient for the person learning, I think it can be even demotivating. So I'm very glad that you are not shouting at me these weeks that I'm not 100% ready for the lesson. Not always. So I think it works very well.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm not the director or someone, because we both create the atmosphere and the pace and everything. So it's not just about me pushing you somewhere. I have to respect your personal life, your working life. So it's always up to us. It's our agreement. But there has been a lot of homework you have done, even though it's not like every single week, but you always try to do your homework. And there's really a lot of work you have done so far. Apart from work, how much English is there in your life these days?
So we do have Netflix at home, but rarely do we watch it. Also, I'm listening to podcasts, some of them in English, some of those in Czech. So I do have some contact with English, but it's nothing special. And I think it's the real difference between us and the generations that followed us. As when I was 20, there was very, very, very few people I know were watching TV series or movies in English, which is very natural these days, I think.
We didn't have this YouTube and these when we were young, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have Netflix. We didn't have, the internet wasn't so full of these things to watch and listen
Social
to.
networks, exactly. So younger people, they are surrounded by English. So I think it's incomparably easier to get to a certain level of English for the people who were born, 10 years after myself. Yeah,
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Right. Yeah, so we're a different generation, yeah. So it must be much easier to get to this level for younger kids. That's right. I think we're slowly coming to an end. Do you think there is anything else maybe you would like to say out loud? Anything else we haven't touched on?
I'm not really sure. Maybe I would repeat myself, but if you really work consistently on the English, and if you do have the motivation, internal or external, maybe even external motivation may work. At some point, I think if you find the right way how to do it, you start liking it, and it's nothing you need to fight. It's really enjoyable thing.
Cool. So thank you so much for being here again. I really appreciate it. A question maybe for our audience: is there anything that you maybe really liked about this video, or some point that really inspired you, or anything that you found interesting? Please let us know in the comments. We will be happy to read that if this video helped you in a way. So thank you again, and I hope that helps everyone speak beautiful English.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. See ya.